What's up everyone, it's Synchron here, and today I'll be bringing you all my Synchron deck profile with the cards Righty and Lefty Driver from Dual Power and much more in the deck. Hope you all enjoy, let's get into it. For the monsters, we definitely want to run 3 Junk Synchron. Basically when this card is normal summoned, you target a level 2 or lower monster in your grave, special summon it with its effects negated, and you basically go for either a Link summon or the level 5 Synchro summons. Next up, 2 Jet Synchron. If this card is sent to the grave for a Synchro material, you can add a Junk Warrior from your Junk monster from your deck to your hand, and the only Junk monster we run in this build is Junk Synchron, so there's really only one target. But if this card's in the grave, you could send one monster. You could send one card from your deck. No, you could send one card from your hand to the grave, and special summon this card from the grave, but banish it when it leaves the field. Next up, I figured why not. Synchron Exploder. When this card is normal summoned, you can select one Synchron in your grave, special summon it, but it has its effects negated. Next up, Synchron, Cyber Synchron. Kind of a target for the Junk Speeder, but anyways, once returned, you can target a level 4 or lower monster you control, double its level by its original level until the end phase. And if a monster in the extra monster zone would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you could banish this card from your grave instead, all once per turn. Next up, 3 Doppel Warrior. Basically, when you special summon a monster from the grave, you can special summon this card from your hand. But if it's sent to the grave as synchro material, you basically special summon 2 Doppel tokens. 2 Doppel tokens, both level 2 and both have 400 attack and defense. Next up, 2 Rush Warrior. This basically is what allows you to go into your OTK plays with your Synchro Warrior monsters. Not Synchron, Synchro. But like I said, during damage calculation, in either player's turn, if a Warrior Synchro monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can send this card from your hand to the grave. The battling monster's attack becomes double its current attack. During damage calculation only. And you can banish this card from your grave, then target a Synchron monster in your grave, add it back to your hand. So OTK potential and Synchron recycler. That's what I was trying to go for. It's Foolish Burial target, or just card sending to the grave target. 2 Quibbled Hedgehogs. If this card's in the grave, and you can special summon it to your side of the field, only if you control a face-up Synchron monster. No, a face-up tuner to activate this effect. Next up, 2 Goblinberg. Just when it's normal summon, you special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand to your side of the field. But you change the battle phase, but that really doesn't matter with this deck. You just run it for the extra special summon. And next up, 2 Righty Driver. I love this card because it takes the name of a Synchron monster when you go for a Synchro summon. And basically, when this card is normal summon, you can special summon a Lefty Driver from your hand, deck, or grave. And speaking of Lefty Driver, when this card is special summoned, you can make this card's level become level 3 until the end of this turn. And during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the grave, you can banish this card from your grave. And if you do, add a Righty Driver from your deck to your hand. 2 for 2, not bad. I figured if you could bump it up to 3, by all means go for it. But I just feel like 2 for both cards is a better ratio than 3. Alright, so for the spells and traps, definitely want to run 3 Tuning. Add a Synchron monster from your deck to your hand, but send the top card from your deck to your grave. Next up, 3 Clashing Soul. What this card does is if a monster you control and a monster your opponent controls battles each other, whichever player controls the monster with a lower attack, that player can pay 500 light points repeatedly to increase their monster by 500 attack points repeatedly. And when I say repeatedly, I mean they could do it for however much they want, but neither player takes battle damage from that battle. And after damage calculation, if an opponent's monster would be destroyed by battle that turn, you send all cards they control to the grave instead. So basically just ring your opponent's field and trying to go for game after that. Next up, 2 Double Summon. Basically this deck likes to normal summon a lot, however they gain nothing when they special summon themselves. So I figured why not just throw in like 2 double summons just to get the extra normal summons for the deck, since honestly it is a bit slow. Except to combat the grave, you don't want to deal with hand traps in general with this deck, especially with tuning where they could draw and lockbird you. Next up, reinforcement of the army. Add a level 4 lower warrior monster from your deck to your hand. Warrior returning alive. Target a monster type, a warrior type monster in your grave. Add it to your hand. Monster reborn, because why not? 1 for 1 for the level 1. For the level 1 targets in the deck, and also sending a monster from your hand to the grave, whichever one it could be. Foolish Burial, just get monsters in your grave ASAP. And for the traps, 2 Solemn Warning is Solemn Strike, because just stop your opponent from summoning in general, and 1 Stardust Respark. What I like about this card is, first off, when your opponent's special summon monster declares a direct attack that is greater than your life points, more than likely that's going to happen, you can negate the attack, draw 1 card, so that's already a free draw. And after that, you special summon a Stardust monster from your extra deck or grave to your side of the field. Now, the only extra deck synchro monster we do run here that's Stardust is Stardust Warrior. I was going to run Stardust Dragon, but I figured no, Stardust Warrior has a built-in negation. It's just a lot better in my opinion, but honestly, I'll explain more when we get to the extra deck. For the extra deck, I run 1 Martial Metal Marcher. What this card does, first off, it's a generic link 3, and when it's synchro summoned, you target a tuner in your grave, special summon it to your side of the field, but it has its effects negated. And when this card is used for a synchro summon of a synchro monster, that synchro monster brought out using this card as material is treated as a tuner while on the field. Next up, Junk Speeder. You don't really use its attack doubling effect the turn it's synchro summon. You just use it for the special summon of multiple Synchron tuners in from your main deck to your side of the field when it's synchro summon, and you basically synchro climb from there. Next up, another level 5, 1 XL Synchron. Once per turn, you can send a Synchron monster from your deck to your grave and adjust this level by either bumping it up by that level or decreasing it by that level. Next up, one of my favorite cards, 2 Jet Warrior. With Jet Synchron and another non-tuner monster. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. And if this card's in the grave, you can tribute a level 2 or lower monster. Tribute a level 2 or lower monster from your side of the field. Special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Next up, level 7, 1 Black Rose Dragon, because why not? Just destroy the field. Level 8, 1 Crimson Blader. What I like about this card is, first off, it's a synchro warrior, so Rush Warrior works for it perfectly. Level 8, not too hard to get into with this deck. And if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the grave, your opponent cannot normal summon or special summon level 5 or higher monsters during their next turn. Doesn't really hinder them, but at the same time, it is kind of fun to run this card if your opponent does rely on special summoning high level monsters. 1 Road Warrior. First off, easy level 8, and once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower monster, warrior or machine monster from your deck. Now, why this card is actually good is because I have a combo. I figured out a combo with this card and Jet Warrior. Basically, you bring out the level 2 or lower monster from your deck, and while Jet Synchron's in your grave, basically tribute it and bring Jet Synchron back to your side of the field, and basically go from there. Next up, 1 Junk Destroyer, Junk Synchron, and other generic non-tuner monsters. When this card is synchro summoned, you can select and destroy cards on the field up to the number of non-tuner monsters used for the synchro summon. Next up, 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, just to destroy as many special summon monsters on the field as possible and inflict 500 to your opponent. 1 Tyrant Wing, level 10, generic, level 10 actually, surprisingly. What this card does is during you activate one effect of Tyrant Wing once per turn. During your opponent's during the battle phase, when a spell trap is activated, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. And if you do that, this card gains 500 attack. Or its first effect, during the main phase, you can destroy all other cards on the field, but other monsters you control cannot attack. And if anything, it's a 3500 meter, so your opponent obviously can't attack over it unless they have like a Utopia or whatever. And since we do run Scarlet and it does count as a Red Dragon Archfiend, I figured why not throw in Red Nova Dragon. 2 tuners, Red Dragon Archfiend, that's what Scarlet's for. This card gains 500 attack for each tuner in the grave. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, so in a sense, if you have Red Nova, you have Tyrant and Red Nova, you basically have 2 boss monsters on your side of the field. And it can be destroyed by opponent's spell traps or monster effects. Oh, never mind, sorry. Disregard what I just said. And when your opponent's monster would declare an attack, negate the attack, and if you do, negate the attack, remove this card, and during the end phase, bring it back to your side of the field. And like I said, start as Warrior, run 1 or 2, whatever you feel like. 1 tuner synchro monster, 1 non-tuner synchro monster. Basically, you just use this card for its negation. When your opponent would special summon a monster, you tribute this card, negate it, and you could special summon it back to your side of the field if you synchro summon into it. With the new rules, if I'm correct, if you use any other method to get this card out, you cannot bring it back to your side of the field. And finally, finishing it off with the Link monster, 1 Underclock Taker, just to really toy with your opponent's monster's attack and go for game with the Warrior Synchro monster and the Rush Warrior combo. Alright, so I know I got done with the extra deck, but it took me a while to actually look over some things and realize I forgot some cards that could actually be pretty beneficial for the deck itself. I actually have 3. Granted, the third one's a bit harder to go into, but I figured why not just throw it in here. So the first one is Crystron Phoenix. 1 tuner synchro monster, 1 non-tuner synchro monster. It's a level 9. You could adjust Excel Synchron's level with, its effect, and either bump it up by 1 level and then or decrease it by 1 level, get it to a level 4, while also having a level 5 Synchro monster on your side of the field, Synchro Summon, and go for a Phoenix. But what this card does is, if it's Synchro Summoned, you could banish all spell and trap your opponent controls and in their graves. And if the Synchro Summon card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 other monster in your grave, special summon it. In a sense, I figured the reason why I wanted to run this card or to showcase it is because you could actually... you could probably mess up a Sky Striker player or like any deck that utilizes Spell Trap Recycling, and if anything, if you do go up against like a Paleo deck, to catch them off guard. Next up is another Crystron Synchro monster, also a level 9, but in a sense you could get this card out by using or / abusing the effect of Speeder, which is Crystron. Okay, I can't pronounce that. 2 or more tuners and 1 non-tuner monster. What this card does is, if it's synchro summoned, you could target monsters your opponent controls and in their graves up to the number of synchro materials used for this synchro summon of this card. Banish them, and if this synchro summon card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one banished monster, except itself, and special summon that target to your side of the field. Granted, yes, like the 2 or more synchro, 2 or more tuner thing could be a bit of a hindrance, but if anything, once you get it out, you can just get rid of your opponent's monsters from there. But granted, this card against a Thunder Dragon deck would be horrible. And finally, the last card is actually a manga card, I think from the 4th volume of Arc V. But anyways, it's White Aura Bahama. I can't pronounce that. Either way, tuner synchro monster, non-tuner synchro. So tuner synchros are pretty easy with the deck. This card's level 10. So, Excel Synchron, adjust its levels and go from there. But what this card does is during your turn, when this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon a divine token, a fish monster, water type, level 10, 3300 attack and 3,000 defense, but special summon in defense position. And once per opponent's turn, while you control no tokens, quick effect, you can special summon a divine token to your side of the field. And if this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the grave, while you control a divine token, you can special summon this card. So basically, as long as you have a divine token, this card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, just bring it back. But granted, if they do banish it, it's kind of a lose-lose there. But I figured I'd showcase it just because why not? It's a synchro monster. It's a really fun one to go into, and kind of just if your opponent forgets about the token, you just easy revive. But yeah, White Aura, Crystron, the yellow one, and Crystron Phoenix are 3 cards I do suggest running in this deck if you want to go for a more fun build. There is Crystal Wing, a level 8, you go for that one especially, but honestly, I just feel as if since this card doesn't really utilize Link monsters and just goes for Synchro Climbing, that either these 3 or whatever other monster you want to go for is just a better choice. But that does it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Like the video if you want, dislike it if you want, your choice. Do share this video with a friend who is interested. And for those of you who don't know, this is actually a re-upload, because when I was going through when I just uploaded the original video, there was actually an issue where I did not add the clip of the extra deck. So again, this is a re-upload, but it did give me an opportunity to showcase other cards I would suggest for the extra deck if worse comes to worse. And if anything, I got this card for like $3, Phoenix for $2, and White Aura, okay, I can't pronounce it. White Aura level 10 is like $10, maybe $15. You don't have to run it, but if you do want to run it, by all means, go for it. But yeah, that does it for the video, and I hope you all enjoyed.